Hello. Feels good to be at the center of the universe, huh? Thank you. Let me say off the top that 6193, 6197, 6215, 6216, and 6206 are related to my remarks today. But with that said, I'm here today to ask the BLM to remove all 22 parcels from the oil and gas lease sale. I've lived in Paonia for 7 years. I've lived on the Western Slope for 13. And for 13 years, I've been a renewable energy practitioner and educator. These leases are a bad idea. And I don't say that as a renewable energy advocate. But oil and gas development in the North Fork Valley is bad design. And as Clay said a moment ago, let's take a breath. We're working on a 22-year de facto plan. These lands were pioneered by great men and women who established in the 1890s our legendary produce and fruits, now a major food resource for many Coloradans and a major form of livelihood for these farmers. Oil and gas threatens these crops and those whose livelihoods depend on them. Air and water pollution will be threatened, and our quality of life will cause regional tourism and local agricultural economy to become collateral damage. The industrial activity, including the swarm of gasoline and diesel trucks, will stress our county roads and endanger our health and environment with potential accidents and spills. And the fact that companies are not required to disclose the hundreds of chemicals used in hydraulic fracturing compromises our doctors' and nurses' ability to treat workers who may become exposed or injured to these dangerous chemicals. And if I could just speak for a moment for those who cannot be here, those without a voice. By that I mean the thousands of species of shrubs and wildflowers that color our foothills and mountain valleys. The blue flax, the scarlet gilia, the rabbit brush, and the shooting stars. The pasque flower, the skunk cabbage, mountain's lady slipper, monk's hood, lupin, aster, elephant head, columbine, fireweed, and arnica. And let us not forget the abundant bird life in the beaver country and the river valleys, with the ducks and the blue herons, the Canadian geese, the bald and golden eagles, the water ouzels, the hawks, the owls, Canadian jays, stellar jays, magpies, hummingbirds, bluebirds, ravens, robins, and many more. And of course our elk, mule deer, black bear, bighorn sheep, mountain goat, mountain lion, bobcat, ermine, beaver, muskrat, red fox, coyote, pine, marten, all threatened. Look around. Let ours be the time remembered for awakening of renewable energy future. Let ours be a time remembered for the firm resolve to achieve sustainability. And let ours be the time remembered for the quickening of the struggle for energy justice. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Doug Bell, I'm a Paonia resident. My wife and I appreciate this opportunity to have our voices heard. We are well aware that our country needs more energy independence. But if so, why are we exporting oil and gas? Is it the almighty dollar, or is there a glut of oil and gas in this country? Could it be that we are not opposed to wise, responsible gas development, but we do not agree with some of the places and the procedures that exploration companies and their supporters will be allowed to do this? The process of extracting natural gas is constantly changing. What was the normal 6 months ago is not the normal now. As technology gets more sophisticated and more wells are drilled on each site, some sites being as small as 10 acres, nowadays 10 and 12 wells are common. How many will there be 6 months from now or a year from now? With horizontal drilling commonly used, more slick water is used to force the fracking fluids the 2 to 2.5 miles of the drill holes. Thus, more water, more trucks, more diesel fuel, More generators, chemicals, and resources in general are in demand, but this is common knowledge. You are also well aware that the last resource management plan was completed in 1989, over 20 years ago. Fracking at that time was in its infancy, as was horizontal drilling. I can't understand why the 22 parcels of the North Fork that have been nominated for leasing need to be auctioned as soon as August 2012. Why not wait for a new resource management plan along with an environmental impact statement to be completed? The natural gas isn't going anywhere. It seems that a little bit of time to have these studies done is excellent protection for the people and the environment. It can also help to determine where and how best efficiently to proceed, thus being beneficial to both sides of this debate. The supporters of energy development say that the mountains of regulations protecting the environment and the people are more than enough to make the process safe. Okay, so what's all the big stink about? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hi, my name is Dr. Susan Raymond. In what is supposed to be a democratic process, our end of the valley is being sold down the river. Let me explain. We have watched in the last year the predatorizing of our public lands, the sacrificing of our rural residential areas for industrial chicken farming, and now corporate greed slithering into our end of the valley under the pretense that our county desperately needs to get away from foreign oil dependency. As an owner of 60 acres with 2 springs and a well, a livestock producer, a farmer, a practicing veterinarian of 28 years in this valley, a member of the LaRue Creek Area Planning Commission, a board member of the Delta Conservation District, and a non-voting observing member of the Fire Mountain Canal, I have never seen our end of the valley threatened with so many issues in such a short time. I'm not going to repeat the parcels that would affect the Fire Mountain, but I want to address the Fire Mountain Canal. Should the Fire Mountain Canal and the Paonia Reservoir become contaminated if there were a spill or runoff from drilling pads, it will have an irreparable influence on the total north side of the valley, not only on the farm ground, but the springs and wells that the Fire Mountain Canal water recharges below it every year. Should drilling and fracking cause seismic disturbances next to the Fire Mountain Canal or reservoir, the integrity of the dam and the canal could be at risk. Lives could be at stake. A very recent BOR study was done identifying areas of the Fire Mountain Canal that pose the most imminent risk to life. This report shows the fragility of the Fire Mountain system. This is a 34-plus mile of canal where 3/4 of it is built on a hillside. It will act as a collection drainage in cloudbursts should drilling activity be situated above it. Historically, the west end of the valley has had a tendency to have an attitude that the North Fork is expendable. At a Christmas party I attended this holiday season down in the Delta area, the consensus of the people of the party was, let them build the industrial chicken coops at your end of the valley so we can have the chicken manure to help our row crop farmers. Let them drill in the North Fork. We need the jobs. I bit my lip. I quietly proceeded to explain to those unknowing folks how the North Fork has become a mecca for sustainable agriculture and how the North Fork feeds the resort towns such as Aspen, Telluride, Crested Butte. In summation, do you see a county commissioner here? I don't see a county commissioner here.
Why not?
Yeah, we need to vote local officials who stand up for us.
Hi, I'm Melinda Bell, and I've lived here since 1990, so it's almost 22 years that I've been here. Raised my daughter here. We have family ranches here at Midway, And the parcels that affect the Midway area are 6197 and 6198. And we also have parcels here below Wolf Park. And those parcels that affect me there are 6191, 6195, and 6196. My father is on the advisory board for Garfield County for environmental research on what the gas companies and different things that are happening over there. I appreciate that there's been a lot of really good talk based on science here today, because what I've heard before this meeting is a lot of non-science issues. I think that the only way that you can deal with this problem is to really deal with the science part of it. My concerns are, since I've lived on the western slope of Colorado since 1962, is I've seen a lot of boom and bust happen here on the western slope. It's great when it's happening, it's terrible when it's gone. And the people who stay are the people who have to pick up the pieces after it's gone. I don't want to be one of those people to pick up the pieces. I've ridden my horses on most of the property that is in question. I want to know what our access as the public is going to be to the BLM if these things do go in. I want to know what is going to happen whenever our roads deteriorate and who's responsible for taking care of that. I also ride a Harley on the roads around here. And this area that we have, people from all over the world come and rent Harleys at Glenwood and Grand Junction just to ride on our roads because there's not a lot of truck traffic. So what I would like to say is I would like to commend every one of you for doing your research and keep up the good work.